What's up, everybody? This is Mike Manzer with another Manzer Faust Productions video. Today, I'm going to do something I've been kind of putting off for a while, but I wanted to dig into. I wanted to go to the past, go into some nostalgic territory for myself, and talk about some of the bands that I used to see back in the day in the wonderful state of Connecticut, where I currently live. And this is going to go through a bunch of different kind of scenes and times. It's not really chronological in any way. It's just kind of thrown together by subject and different venues and different groups of bands I would see and stuff. And it's not complete. I'm probably going to do a follow-up video on this and another follow-up video. There's tons I could do, specific little areas in time. But this is just kind of a short little introduction to a bunch of great Connecticut bands that I don't think are as well known outside of this state, and kind of came and went a lot of times, but you know, they're important to me, so I wanted to dig into them. So the first band I wanted to talk about, first album, is a band I saw a couple of weeks ago. They had a reunion show at the Wham Leg in Wallingford, Connecticut. Now, if you don't know what the Wham Leg is the former Wallingford American Legion. And we used to always have shows there way back in the day. Probably around like 2005 is when I first started going there. And that incarnation pretty much went until 2010, and then we reopened that venue through, I can't remember the name of the studios, but it's run in part by Andreas, who's been in a few bands like Puff and Grim Business. I think he's still playing semi-regularly in Death Threat. So, they're closing down again. Unfortunately, the city wants to turn the place into a fucking liquor store, which is funny as shit to me. But they've been having some final shows. They're gonna shut down at the end of the month. Last weekend of the month, I think it's the 27th and 28th. It's gonna be a shit ton of shows. Bunch of stuff coming up there, so if you're in the area, look into that. I think you can just look up Wham Leg on any social media and you'll be able to find something. So, but yeah, so I went a couple of weeks ago, and they had a show for, you know, one of the last shows there, and every once in a while they'll have a big show of a bunch of bands from back in the day getting back together. Talk about that more in depth when I get to some of those records. But they had a reunion of a band that had been gone for a real long time. One of the bands I used to see when I was real young. One of my first shows was in Connecticut, going to shows. It was in 2005 at the Wallingford Knights of Columbus, which has been torn down since then. It's condos, I'm pretty sure. And this band, they had a different bassist at the time, but they were just starting out, and they had a demo. And I remember liking them a lot right from the get-go, and that was Copyright Chaos. This is their Vini Vidi Vici LP, released, I believe, 2007. I might be wrong. I can't remember. It's all kind of a blur from there. It's put out by Haste Records. And this compiles their Vidi Vidi Vici kind of EP and their first demo, Punker Than You. And this has a bunch of really good classics. Chaos Is Our Way of Life, City Chaos Punks, Up the Drunk Punks, Violence, the infamous Punker Than You, which is kind of a dumb, like, punk rock anthem. Side A is really good. Some of their later material, Vidi Vidi Vici, Unite Against Depression, Let's Cause an Uproar, Slave to the Media, really good tracks. This has a very strong, it fits into that kind of category of the punkcore kind of stuff. A little bit more virus and defiance on this than like unseen casualties, all that kind of stuff. But you do have a fair amount of GBH and the Partisans. Blitz obviously is a big part of this band. Great at that time for just, you know, fueling a lot of these kind of scenes around them. Great lineup to the band. It was always the same kind of guys. Eric, who would also play in Drawback, amazing musician. He's going to come up a few times in other groups. Brandon Hebert, who was also in Down for the Count prior to this band. Jim Chaos on drums. He would be in a couple of bands coming up as well. And on vocals, Todd, who will show up in another band coming up as well. And they were just a great group, cranked out songs very well. They had another album before this called Appetite for Intoxication, and they reissued that on vinyl for the show. I didn't get to pick up a copy because I never have fucking money. What I look like. But hopefully I'll be able to get that retroactively. But this is solid, really good stuff. Having the demo on here is really cool. And another band early on from me going to shows, and this will lead into another band that played that night. This is more connected with what was happening in Hartford at the time. A lot of bands coming out of this place we had called the Whitney House. A lot of infamous stories I could tell and probably shouldn't tell from there. Yeah, a lot of great kind of fast crust kind of stuff and grindcore kind of stuff coming out of there. And one of the standout bands from that time period is Oiltanker, and this is the Shadow of Greed LP, put out by No Funeral. And this is great, fast, you know, solid, like Profane Existence style crust, punk, a lot of detestation, some great, like, noisy, fucking Japanese hardcore kind of vibes. I hear quite a bit of Guy and some dust noise in this, as well as, like, Effigy, Zoe, a lot of those great, like, all crusty, spending loud night era kind of noisy punk bands, Disclose. This is solid. They've had a couple of LPs after this. One split with Warplague, I believe. I should have looked into it. I have like 3 copies of it, so I don't know why I don't remember. But this is really good. No Tomorrow. It was a split with No Tomorrow, who was another great band. They used to play out in Hartford quite a bit. Optin on guitar. He's been in a few other bands throughout the years. Shane, I don't know what happened to him. I think he's down in Philadelphia now, but he's doing some stuff as well. A couple of the members of this have been in other bands like Attentat. Really solid stuff. Great band. So, getting back to Wham Leg, there was a whole, like, kind of scene around that place that would kind of play a lot. You had a lot of different types of bands. So, you know, I was really into hardcore. Being like a 15, 16-year-old kid going to these early shows, you know, I was all about, like, the posse-core, straight edge kind of stuff. Very much like the Youth Crew. Kind of revival was happening. A lot of great bands. Champion, The First Step, you know, some of the more heavier stuff coming out of Florida. I was listening to, like, Casey Jones, Ex-Bishop X, you know, stuff that's kind of just low level. But really great band out of that whole time that would regularly play at Wham Leg. Some incredible shows. Was At All Costs. This is the Directions 7-inch. This is their follow-up. They had record on CD. Can't remember the title of it. This is a really great EP. Got it on this nice sky blue colored vinyl. At All Costs was some great, like, fast, straight ahead youth crew, positive hardcore kind of stuff. Very much in the kind of youth of today. Maybe more Chain of Strength, but very high influence by a lot of that classic Revelation Records kind of material. But what set this band apart was they had a horn section. So you had a guy on trombone, you had a guy on trumpet. A couple of members went on to be in tons of bands, but most famous of all, a couple of members went on to be in Hostage Com, who became a big band locally. I think they were pretty big around the country. I never know, you know, it goes over my head. But they had more of like a Smiths kind of indie sound happening. But this is solid stuff, really great, like sing-along kind of stuff. Count on Me, Push Ahead, Keep It Clean. Really good 7-inch. Loved seeing this band live back in the day. Another band I wanted to bring up, I don't have any of their stuff. I was surprised. I think I have it on CD. But another band I wanted to bring up was Signs of Hope. They were a great, like, really heavy, straightforward, kind of another youth crew kind of thing. They had a lot of influence from, like, a 7 Seconds kind of vibe as well, at least to my ears. So, at the same time, Wallingford, you had a lot of bands coming over from the next town over, which is Meriden, and a couple of bands also were coming out of North Haven area, which is pretty much right there as well. And Meriden has had a history of a lot of great bands. Obviously, The Pissed is a very important band to come out of there. And you had a bunch of different kids from different bands at the time come together. I believe Little Chris on vocals in this was playing guitar in the Killboys at the time. Another great band that unfortunately I don't have any vinyl material from. I don't even think I have the CD anymore, but they're really great. Great live band. So this is Culture Shock with the Holy Shit EP. And this is just fun, straight ahead, hardcore, put out by Killshock, I believe. No, Get Ig Records, which I believe is some Brass City involved people, because you had a band called Ig that would get back together a few times throughout the years and do an Ig Fits set, which is all like Misfits covers during Halloween. But Ig was a pretty big band back in the day. I think they only played a few shows. You had a lot of these bands. Another one was Radcon. They only played like 4 or 5 shows, but had like 30 T-shirt designs. It was pretty ridiculous back in the day. But Culture Shock, great, like, you know, fast. You had a lot of that skate kind of aspect to a lot of these bands back in the day. You had a very, like, crunchy, not as much like metal riffage kind of stuff, but it was still pretty much in that, like, very suicidal tendencies, like first record kind of vibes. You had a lot of bands coming out of other states, like Common Enemy, Crucial Unit, more in the thrashcore kind of vibes. This is more straight ahead hardcore. Members of this went on to be in Boiling Point and some other stuff. Just great songs, Fake Ass Kids, Culture Shock, Holy Shit's really fun. So, yeah, solid EP, kind of hard to see the artwork there, but it's pretty ridiculous. I love these, like, old, you know, drawn covers they used to have. You know, you got the fucking Catholic priest guy getting his brains blown out, and the, you know, mosh pit in his, you know, brains. Really cool. I love this stuff. So yeah, Culture Shock is great. Another great band from around that time that didn't really last too long. and led to a infamous final show at Meriden Turner Hall, which is another one of my favorite venues. That was just a shit show every time, but we had a lot of fun. Their last show infamously had the owner of the venue get up on the microphone and start yelling at us about how, like, someone was assaulted and a bunch of other shit happened. And there was also a crazy show there later on where POW, Product of Waste, played. And Terry vomited on the floor, and people were sliding around in it and stuff. It was always kind of crazy there. But this band was sick. I saw them a bunch back in the day. They used to play Wham Leg quite a bit. They would play a bunch of random places in Meriden that only did like one or two shows. But Eat and Run, the American Slob EP, and this is more just straightforward kind of thrashy. This is put out by Killshock. Killshock was, I believe, members of a couple of different bands, but I think it was run out of Massachusetts, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know. Kind of hard to find a lot of information on that kind of stuff from back in the day. I believe a few members of this went on to do Haste, who had a really good demo. Can't remember what else they ended up doing. But this was a solid band, really fast, kind of crazy stuff. Pretty simple kind of lyrics, great sing-along stuff. I always loved I Can't Wait Till I Die and Stomped Out. Good Christian Boy is really good as well. Really fun records, real youth energy, just killing it. So this is another band that used to play with them a lot. Actually, their first show was at this place in Meriden I can't remember the name of, but it was obviously a place they never had shows. Like the floor lit up, like there was lights in the floor and people were moshing, but they had a elevator on the wall, so people kept moshing into the elevator doors and going up at it was wacky. And this band had already released like a demo and stuff. People knew who they were. That back in the day, that was a lot more normal. That they'd have a demo out and they'd get a bunch of hype, and then they'd actually play a show, and there'd already be a bunch of people into it. This is Stomped on Sight from I believe Meriden. This was like a super group for me back in the day. You had Carlo, who had also played formerly in Ratbite, who was a big-time band back in the day. I used to see them all the time at the LNG. He would also go on to form another band around this time called No Account. Really good, like kind of Bad Religion kind of vibes to that. Pete, who knows what happened to him. Bobby, again, who knows what happened to him. I still see I think it was on bass, Roland. I still run into him every once in a while. Joey Shovelface on vocals, one of the best vocalists from this time. This band just rips. This is, you have Devin on guitar. He played in a couple of other things as well. I can't remember right now, but this was a solid band, more skate punk kind of stuff. You had a lot of this band is weird because I don't know if they were listening to them, but there's a New Jersey band from the late 80s called ENUF, Enough, and this has a lot of that vibe to it. The guitar kind of has the same kind of stuff. Carlo was an amazing guitarist, and I loved seeing him rip it up. He just had a lot of great stuff. He also played in a band later on called No with my buddy Dan Mang, who was also in a band called The Corrupt. And these are some great songs. I still love a lot of these songs to this day. Same Old Shit, Get Lost, CTPD, one of the best anti-cop songs to come out of this scene. Skate This One Away. High School Genocide was always one of my favorite songs back in the day to go fucking ape shit to. These guys were fun. When Andreas reopened the Wham leg, the first show we had was Stomped on Sight. We had a Rat Bite reunion. Unfortunately, I missed that because it was like right after I left. He had another band that would always play there called Jim Crowbars, and Killboys played, and they did an amazing set. Killboys is always a fucking party. They did really good covers, I remember. And the funniest thing about them is they had the same exact set list throughout their entire fucking time as a band. So like all 8 years they were a band, it would be the same 7 songs. But they were always great. It was always a real good fucking time. So, yeah, Carlo, just a legend. He also played in Long Drop. You know, a lot of these guys had like 20 different bands that they would play in. So, yeah. But this is a classic 7-inch. This is the tour press. I don't have a regular pressing of this with the original cover, but really solid stuff if you can find it. Then, you know, this is going a little bit later. Yeah, this was a band. They would release a bunch. I used to see them a lot at the L&G in New London. And up the street from there, you had another venue that was coming up called the Eclectic Wear. And now the Eclectic Wear was like kind of this Rastafarian dude's like storefront for making like custom sweatshirts and stuff, kind of like a fashionable, like, you know, local thing. But in pretty much the closet back room area, he would have these insane shows. A lot of great bands that were probably way too big. I saw Common Enemy there a bunch. Really good. I can't. Suicidity would play there a lot. Band I would love to see get like a vinyl treatment in the future, but I don't know if anybody actually has like the raw tracks for that. So that might not happen. But yeah. So this is a band. Was originally started by Coy, who was playing in Stress Bomb at the time, and he got a couple of other bands. I forget what the original name of this band was. They went by another name at first. You also had Aaron and Jim Chaos. Jim Chaos also played in... he's going to show up in a couple of the bands coming up. He also played in Copyright. So, this is a great... So, later on, Brett from the Killboys ended up jumping on vocals. So, you know, kind of changed the sound. I think Coy went over the bass at the time, if I'm not mistaken. Or guitar. Maybe Aaron was playing bass. But, yeah, anyway, this is Busted, Hell Is Other People, released by Get Young Records, which I think was out of Boston. It is some solid, great, fast, like, kind of metallic. I'm trying to think what it has the vibes of. It came out of that time where, like, the later era Bridge 9 stuff was really big, so, you know, Ceremony, Trash Talk, sort of stuff that would get wrongly lumped in with like Power Violence Revival, Outbreak, that kind of stuff. This doesn't have as many like of those like kind of elements though. This is more just like solid, hardcore, straight ahead. A little bit of Youth Crew vibes, but it wasn't straight edge at all. You had a lot of good anthemic kind of stuff. For some reason I remember the song Kill an Idiot being on here, but I guess not. But that was always a really fun track from their earlier years. Really great lyrics on here. You got Pipe Dreams, all about marijuana and stuff like that. At that time, like, fucking very much illegal in Connecticut. Yesterday's News, Suspicious Activity, Quintessential Romance Movie is a really great one too. The awesome intro, like all these bands have great intros, but I think one of my favorites is the Bust It intro that they used to use. And that goes into Empty Drawer, which is one of my favorite lyrics that Brett ever came up with. Real, like, atheist rejection of religious dogma kind of thing. Really fun. Great album. I also have a test press of this, which was taken at, I should have grabbed that, but the picture on the cover was taken at the eclectic room, because you could see the checkerboard floor that was usually pretty scuffed up by the end of the night. And, you know, I could do, like, videos on a lot of these, like, venues back in the day. That would be a lot of fun, because they were just nuts. Sometime later, a lot of the members, Coy, I think Jim was in this as well, and Aaron went on to form Haste. And Haste is really cool. This was kind of, I you know, still in that, like, very metallic kind of fast range, but, you know, you have a lot of negative approach, that more Midwestern kind of sound, the necros, stuff like that. Some, you know, there was some elements of that LA kind of thing happening at the time, some Boston. Yeah, this is really good. Context. Yeah, nice clear green vinyl. I haven't spun this in a while, so I might need to do that. Just remember it being really solid. Coy's lyrics are probably at his best in this band. And, yeah, really cool artwork as well. I forget who the artist that did these, but they were really, really doing cool stuff. So, I'm going to show off a couple LPs. This is Drug Shock. So this was Jim Chaos once again on drums. You have Todd, who was in Copyright Chaos, on vocals, and this is pretty much the last thing he did before moving down to Texas. You had Aaron on bass, and you had Pugs, who I believe had been in Forced Reality back in the day. He was the original guitarist in Forced Reality. So this is a lot more on a straight-ahead, like, oi kind of vibe than the Copyright material, but it's still pretty anthemic and, you know, a lot of sing-along material, but it's a lot more in kind of like the classic rock and roll kind of vibes. You have On the Prowl, Smash and Grab, which was always my favorite song back in the day, Detained on Arrival, Vermin, System Overload was really good too. So this is just solid, that real, like, street punk oi kind of stuff that was happening at this time. Quite a bit of, like, early, well, actually, I actually hear a lot of the Epitaph era Agnostic Front in this, so stuff like Riot Riot, Upstart, but also with that very heavy, like, classic street punk. The guitar riffs really remind me of Blitz. Just really solid fucking record here. I don't feel like it gets a lot of representation anymore. Put out by Joe Pogo. It's really good. If you like that classic oi street punk kind of, a little bit of UK82 in there as well, check out Drug Shock. And last, I wanted to show one of the other bands that ended up playing. They opened for a Copyright. And this is kind of a super group of a bunch of different bands from the that I would see early on. So this is Chem-Trails, First World Problems, Third World Solutions. This was put out by Vex a bunch of years ago. Still going strong. They're one of the great, long-lasting, just a powerhouse of a band. Vocalist Jim Martin is a legend around this area. A good friend of mine, too. I'm going to reach out to him pretty soon to get some advice on some upcoming videos. He's done a lot of great artwork. A lot of it has shown up on flyers throughout the years, and he's always very receptive of young artists and new up-and-coming bands. This also has members of Man the Conveyors, just a fury of older kind of crust and hardcore kind of bands from back in the day, anarcho bands. They recently started playing, I think like a couple of years ago, they got Liam on bass, who also played in an early incarnation of the band Kidnapped, who is still around, completely different lineup now, but they're still doing pretty big stuff. He was in the original version of that band. He also played in Wound Man for a little while on tour. And so this is their LP from a couple of years ago. This is pretty solid stuff, real straightforward 80s D-beat kind of stuff. A lot of Disclose, Shit Lickers, kind of, I want to say like Wolfpack, Wolf Brigade kind of vibes on it as well. Just anthems. Jim was in another band called Broken for like decades before this, and you hear a lot of his like delivery that he had in Broken within that band, and just his stage presence is amazing. Like he just knows how to command an audience. He knows how to, you know, make a great stage performance. Great, you know, just gives it. They all give it their all, and just solid fucking tracks all the way through. I really like Holding Cell, Face Step, Mechanical Laughter. I'm surprised it's not on here, but I really love the song Destroyer of Worlds. It's solid record, Chemtrails. Check them out. They're one of the, you know, best things we got in Connecticut right now. Also, got the cool Coke bottle variant vinyl. And yeah, so this is just a quick video I wanted to make. It went on a little longer than that though. So just talking about some old bands that I grew up seeing. There's so many more I could do. You know, dive into stuff I used to see at the LNG, dive into stuff I used to see at Daggett Street when I first moved out to New Haven. Some of these I might need to clear some things up with friends, just to make sure they're okay, me referencing some of these groups. But yeah, you know, if you're a local Connecticut person and you have any memories of some bands you want to bring up, drop me a line, you know, comment down below, obviously like and subscribe, and yeah, you know, I got more of these coming up. If you want to find me on social media, I'm on Instagram as the Hordes of Manzerfaust. Now about do it. So I'm Mike Manzer, here with another Manzerfaust Productions video. Stay fucking metal.